I was standing in my childhood kitchen on Thanksgiving evening when my parents handed my younger sister Madison a check for $75,000 for her upcoming wedding. My hands froze halfway to the cranberry sauce. I watched her squeal and hug them both while they beamed with pride. When I asked if they might help with my own future wedding or maybe my business venture, my mother looked me dead in the eye and said 6 words that changed everything. "You don't deserve help." My father nodded in agreement. Madison smirked from behind them. In that moment, I realized I had always been the disposable child, the one they tolerated but never loved. I walked out that night and never looked back. The drive home was a blur. My hands shook so badly on the steering wheel of my 10-year-old Honda Accord that I had to pull over twice just to breathe. The check kept replaying in my mind. $75,000. Written out in my mother's neat handwriting, handed over like it was nothing. Like Madison deserved the world, and I deserved silence. My girlfriend Diane sat in the passenger seat, stunned into her own silence. We had been dating for 2 years. She had witnessed the whole scene. When we finally made it back to my apartment in San Jose, she turned to me with tears in her eyes and said, "Raphael, your family is toxic. That was one of the cruelest things I've ever seen." I nodded, because words felt impossible. I kept thinking about all the years leading up to this moment, all the little signs I had ignored or rationalized away. This was not sudden. This was the culmination of 28 years of being second best. The pattern had always been there. I just had not wanted to see it clearly until that check appeared. Madison, 3 years younger than me, had always been the golden child. When she turned 16, our parents bought her a brand new Volkswagen Jetta, midnight blue with a sunroof. I remember watching them present it to her in the driveway, all of us gathered around like it was a ceremony. When I turned 16, I got a card with $50 inside and a lecture about responsibility. College was the same story. Madison went to UC Santa Barbara, and our parents paid every cent. Tuition, room and board, spending money, spring break trips. She barely scraped by with a 2.6 grade point average, changing her major 3 times, taking 5 years to graduate with a degree in communications she never used. Meanwhile, I went to San Jose State and took out $62,000 in student loans. I worked 25 hours a week at a campus bookstore, made Dean's List 6 out of 8 semesters, graduated in 4 years with my accounting degree. At my graduation, my mother's only comment was, "Anyone can study hard, Raphael." After college, the pattern continued. I got a job at a mid-sized accounting firm, worked my way up to senior accountant within 4 years. My parents never asked about my work. Madison bounced between part-time retail jobs at the mall, living at home rent-free, borrowing money from our parents that she never repaid. They called it helping her find herself. When I ran my first marathon at 26, finishing in 3 hours and 42 minutes after training for 6 months, my father said it was a waste of time that could have been spent on career advancement. When Madison posted Instagram photos from Cabo San Lucas on a trip funded by our parents, they shared every single one with captions about their amazing daughter. I had learned to expect nothing, but Diane kept telling me it was not normal. She came from a loving family where all 3 kids were treated equally. She could not understand why I accepted the scraps. Then came Madison's engagement. Preston worked as a trust fund manager at a wealth management firm in Palo Alto. His family had money, the kind that came with a hyphenated last name and a summer house in Lake Tahoe. Madison met him at a wine bar, and they dated for 11 months before he proposed with a 2-carat diamond ring. The wedding planning consumed my parents completely. Every Sunday dinner became a discussion of venues, florists, catering options, dress fittings. My mother actually took time off work to help Madison plan. The wedding was scheduled for the following June at the Silver Oaks Country Club, one of the most expensive venues in the Bay Area. The bachelorette party was planned for Napa Valley, a full weekend at a luxury resort. I watched all of this from the periphery, barely included in conversations, never asked for input. Diane and I would sit at these Sunday dinners like furniture. Then came Thanksgiving, and the check. After my mother told me I did not deserve help, I stood there for what felt like an hour, but was probably 30 seconds. Madison was still squealing, hugging the check to her chest. My father had already turned away, reaching for the pie. It was so casual, so dismissive, like I had asked for something unreasonable, instead of basic parental equity. I looked at Diane. She gave me a small nod. We both stood up. I said, "We're leaving." My mother glanced up, annoyed. "Don't be dramatic, Raphael. Sit down and have dessert." I grabbed my jacket. Diane grabbed hers. We walked out through the front door while my mother called after us, "You are embarrassing yourself. This is family time." I got in my car and drove away from that house. And I meant it when I said never look back. The next morning, I blocked all three of them on my phone. I blocked them on Facebook, Instagram, every platform. I deleted years of family photos from my social media. I threw away the birthday cards my mother had sent over the years, the ones with $20 bills inside and notes about being grateful. 3 days later, my mother showed up at my apartment. I was getting ready for work when I heard the pounding on the door. I looked through the peephole and saw her face, red and angry. I opened the door but left the chain on. "What do you want?" I asked. "You need to stop being dramatic and come to Madison's wedding," she said. "No greeting, no apology, just demands. You are embarrassing us by acting like a spoiled child over nothing." "Over nothing?" I felt anger rising in my throat like bile. "You gave her $75,000 and told me I don't deserve help. That's not nothing. Madison is getting married. That is what parents do. You are being selfish and jealous." "I'm done," I said. "Don't come here again." I closed the door. She pounded on it, screaming that I was ungrateful, that I had always been difficult, that I was breaking her heart. My neighbors opened their doors. Mrs. Chen from across the hall looked horrified. My mother kept pounding and screaming for 5 more minutes before finally leaving. I stood there with my back against the door, shaking. I called in sick to work. Diane came over during her lunch break and held me while I cried for the first time in years. She told me I was doing the right thing, that cutting off toxic people was healthy, even if they were family. 1 week later, Diane broke up with me. We were having dinner at our favorite Thai restaurant when she said, "I can't do this anymore, Raphael. Your family drama is too much. You have too much emotional baggage, and I don't think I can handle it long term." I stared at her across the table, the pad thai between us growing cold, but I cut them off. "They're not in my life anymore." "But they're still in your head," she said quietly. "You're depressed. You barely eat. You can't sleep. I care about you, but I can't fix this for you. You need to work through it on your own." She left cash for her half of the meal and walked out. Just like that. 2 years together, gone. I sat there alone for 20 minutes before the waiter gently asked if I needed anything else. I shook my head and left. Within 2 weeks, I had lost my family and my girlfriend. I was 28 years old and more alone than I had ever been in my life. The next 6 months were the darkest of my life. Depression hit like a physical weight on my chest. I went to work, came home, ate frozen dinners, and stared at the television without really watching anything. I stopped going to the gym. I stopped returning calls from the few friends I had. I gained 15 pounds from stress eating, then lost 20 from not eating at all when the anxiety got too bad. My apartment lease came up for renewal in March. The landlord raised the rent by $350 a month. I could not afford it on my salary, not with my student loan payments and credit card debt from trying to keep up during the breakup. I had to move to a smaller place in a worse neighborhood. Then my car broke down. The transmission died completely. The mechanic gave me an estimate of $4,200. I did not have it. I could not get it. My credit cards were nearly maxed out. 2 weeks after that, I woke up at 3 in the morning with crushing chest pain. I thought I was having a heart attack. I called an ambulance. At the emergency room, after 4 hours of tests, they told me it was an anxiety attack. The bill was $3,100 after insurance. I set up a payment plan I could barely afford. My student loans came out of forbearance. The monthly payment jumped to $875. I looked at my bank account and wanted to throw up. I was drowning. Every time I solved one problem, two more appeared. I sold my broken-down car to a junkyard for $500. I bought a used bicycle off Craigslist for $80. I started riding it to work, a 40-minute commute each way through traffic and hills that left me sweating and exhausted. In April, an old college friend named Brandon reached out. We had not talked in 3 years. He worked in tech startups now, always chasing the next big thing. He wanted to meet for coffee. I almost said no, but loneliness overrode pride. We met at a Starbucks near my office. Brandon looked successful in his startup uniform of expensive jeans and a hoodie. He asked how I was doing. I lied and said fine. Then he pitched me. His company, Verichain, was developing blockchain-based authentication technology for supply chains. They needed a chief financial officer who understood both traditional accounting and could learn the tech side quickly. The salary was $60,000, about 50% less than I was making at the accounting firm. But I would get 12% equity in the company. It's a risk, Brandon admitted. We might fail. Most startups do. But if we succeed, that equity could be worth millions. I should have said no. Every rational part of my brain screamed no. I had stability at my accounting firm, benefits, a clear path forward. Verichain could fold in 6 months, and I would be unemployed with even more debt. But stability had gotten me nowhere. Playing it safe had left me alone and drowning. What did I have to lose? I took the job. My coworkers thought I was insane. My few remaining friends told me I was making a huge mistake. My landlord, when I explained why I was moving again to an even cheaper place, just shook his head. I moved into a studio apartment in East San Jose, 400 square feet. The building was falling apart, with cracked walls and a weird smell in the hallways. My neighbors included a man who screamed at his television at all hours, and a woman whose boyfriend's motorcycle woke the whole building at 2 in the morning. Rent was $950 a month, barely manageable on my new salary. I sold most of my furniture because it would not fit. I slept on an air mattress. I ate rice, beans, eggs, and instant ramen. My grocery budget was $35 a week. I lost weight rapidly, my clothes hanging off my frame. I looked sick. I felt sick. The work at Verichain was brutal. We were a team of 8 people trying to compete with dozens of other blockchain startups. I worked 16-hour days, coming home after midnight, waking up at 6 to do it again. My bicycle got stolen 2 months in. I could not afford to replace it. I walked the 3 miles to work. Some nights, the stress was so overwhelming that I threw up. I developed insomnia. I would lie on my air mattress staring at the ceiling, running numbers in my head, calculating how many months until I would have to declare bankruptcy. 6 months into the job, things got worse. Verichain was running out of funding. We had enough money for maybe 2 more months of operations. If we did not secure a major client or another funding round, we would fold. Everyone was sending out resumes. Brandon was having panic attacks in the bathroom. I had destroyed my entire financial life on this gamble. I was 30 years old. My credit score had tanked. I had maxed out 3 credit cards just to survive. If the company failed, I would likely have to file for bankruptcy. Everything I had worked for since college would be gone. Meanwhile, through a mutual acquaintance, I heard that Madison's wedding had been spectacular. 500 guests, live band, 14-person bridal party. My parents had told everyone I could not attend due to work commitments. No mention of the estrangement. They had rewritten the story completely, making me the one who chose to miss the family celebration. I lay on my air mattress that night, in my 400-square-foot studio that smelled like mildew, eating cold rice from a plastic container, and wondered if my mother had been right. Maybe I did not deserve help. Maybe I deserved exactly this. Month 9 at Verichain. I had lost 26 pounds. My pants were held up with a belt cinched to the last hole. I looked skeletal. Brandon kept asking if I was okay. I lied every time. Then everything changed. A major pharmaceutical company, MedTrust Solutions, reached out about our authentication technology. They were dealing with a massive counterfeit medication problem in their supply chain, costing them millions in losses and risking patient safety. They wanted to explore using our blockchain system to verify medication authenticity from manufacturer to pharmacy. I worked on that proposal for 43 hours straight. I did not sleep. I drank coffee until my hands shook. I built financial models, risk assessments, implementation timelines, cost-benefit analyses. I made that proposal bulletproof. We presented to MedTrust's executive team on a Thursday morning. Brandon handled the technology explanation. I handled everything else. By Friday afternoon, we had the contract. $8 million over 3 years. Verichain was saved. The company valuation skyrocketed from basically nothing to $20 million overnight. My 12% equity, which had been worthless paper, was suddenly worth $2.4 million on paper. Not real yet, but real enough to change everything. The company started paying real salaries. Mine jumped to $120,000 annually. I paid off all my credit card debt in 3 months. The weight on my chest lifted slightly. I could breathe again. 6 months later, we secured Series B funding. Venture capital firms invested $35 million. The company valuation hit $43 million. My equity was now worth $5.16 million on paper. I moved out of the studio from hell into a decent one-bedroom apartment in a safer neighborhood. I bought a reliable used Toyota Camry. I went to a real grocery store and bought vegetables and meat and bread without checking my bank account first. I went to a dentist for the first time in 2 years. Life stabilized. I was 31 years old. I had survived. I had taken the insane gamble, and it had actually worked. I started dating again, casually. I reconnected with a few friends. I joined a gym. Then my phone rang from a blocked number. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was Madison. She was crying so hard, I could barely understand her at first. Between sobs, the story came out. Her marriage was falling apart after just 14 months. Preston had been cheating on her with a coworker. She found out through Instagram stories when Preston and the woman were tagged together at a restaurant Madison knew was their place. She confronted him. He admitted everything. She was filing for divorce. She had moved back in with our parents. She was working part-time at a boutique, barely making enough for gas money. Preston's lawyer was vicious. The prenup his family had insisted on meant Madison would get almost nothing. She was broke and broken. I need help, she sobbed into the phone. Can you loan me $15,000? Just until I get back on my feet. Please, Raphael. You're my brother. Family helps family. I sat in my car in the gym parking lot, gripping the phone. Part of me felt a surge of vindictive satisfaction. She had smirked when our parents gave her $75,000. She had posted endless photos of her perfect wedding, her perfect husband, her perfect life. Now, it was all ashes. But another part of me felt genuine sympathy. She sounded destroyed. Nobody deserved to be cheated on and humiliated. Where was family when I needed help? I asked quietly. Silence on the other end. Then Madison said something that shocked me. What do you mean? Mom told me you threw a tantrum at Thanksgiving because you were jealous of my wedding. She said you chose to leave and abandon everyone. She said you refused to come to the wedding because you wanted to punish me. My hands went numb. She told you what? That you got jealous and vindictive, Madison said. That we tried to reach out but you blocked everyone and refused to talk. That you were being childish. Madison, they gave you $75,000 for your wedding. When I asked if they could help me with anything, Mom looked at me and said, I don't deserve help, to my face. In front of everyone. Diane was there. She heard it. Long silence. Then Madison's voice, smaller. She said that? Yes. And Dad nodded. And you smirked. I didn't. I mean, I thought you were being dramatic about the money difference. I didn't know she said that to you. We talked for another 20 minutes. Madison claimed she had not known the full truth. Our parents had spun the story completely, making me the villain who abandoned the family over jealousy. She had believed them because, why would she question it? I felt something soften. Maybe Madison had been manipulated too. Maybe we were both victims of our parents' toxicity. Then her tone shifted. Okay, but Raphael, regardless of what happened, Mom and Dad are really hurt. They're your parents. They deserve an apology for you missing the wedding and causing them so much stress. You need to be the bigger person here and reconcile with them. And then maybe you can help me out financially since you're doing well now. The softness vanished. Excuse me? I mean, they gave me $75,000 for my wedding, so you should help me too now that you have money. It's only fair. And you owe them an apology. I owe them an apology? Yes, for being so difficult and vindictive. Just call Mom and tell her you're sorry, and we can all move past this. I hung up. She called back immediately. I blocked the number. Within 2 hours, my mother was calling from a different number. I recognized the area code and answered just to get it over with. How dare you refuse to help your sister in her time of need? She started immediately. No, hello. She told me about your call. Do you know how cruel you're being? Do you know how cruel you were to me? I shot back. Oh, stop with this victim nonsense, she snapped. We did everything for you growing up. Fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. You owe us gratitude, not this nasty attitude. You told me I don't deserve help. Because you don't. You're selfish and ungrateful. Look at you now, successful with your fancy tech job, and you won't even help your struggling sister. I saw your LinkedIn profile. Your company got acquired, did it not? You have money now. Family shares. Give Madison what she needs. How do you know about the acquisition? I asked slowly. Madison found you online. We have a right to know what our son is doing. Now, stop being petty and write her a check. The entitlement was staggering. They had told me I did not deserve help. They had rewritten history to make me the villain. They had not spoken to me in over 2 years. And now that I had money, they wanted it. Lose this number, I said, and hung up. I blocked that number too. Then I sat in my apartment, shaking with rage and adrenaline, and realized this was not over. They knew I had money now. They would not let this go. I was right. I blocked every attempt at contact. New numbers, new email addresses, messages through LinkedIn. I ignored all of it. 2 years passed. I was 32 years old. Verichain got acquired by a major technology corporation for $320 million. My 12% equity meant a payout of $38.4 million before taxes. After California's brutal tax rates, I walked away with approximately $19.7 million in my bank account. I was suddenly, absurdly wealthy. The kind of wealthy that felt surreal. I would check my bank balance, and the number looked fake. I hired a financial advisor. We invested most of it conservatively, diversified portfolio designed for long-term growth. I kept $2 million liquid for immediate use. Then I bought a house. Not just any house. A $5 million modern masterpiece in Palo Alto, just a few miles from where I had lived in that studio apartment eating ramen. 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, an infinity pool overlooking the hills, a home office with floor-to-ceiling windows, a 3-car garage. The kitchen had marble countertops and appliances that cost more than my first car. I bought a Tesla Model S Plaid in midnight silver. I bought furniture from actual furniture stores instead of Craigslist. I had a landscaper design the yard with native plants and lighting that made the whole property glow at night. But I did not become one of those tech wealth stereotypes. I still shopped at regular grocery stores. I still wore jeans and t-shirts. I joined the board of a nonprofit that helped underprivileged kids attend college, personally funding scholarships for students whose families could not or would not help them. Kids like me. I started dating someone new. Simone worked as a marketing director at a clean energy company. She was kind, funny, genuine. She had no idea about my financial situation when we met at a volunteer event. We connected over a shared love of hiking and terrible science fiction movies. She made me laugh again. One Saturday afternoon in October, I was outside washing my Tesla in the driveway. The weather was perfect, warm sun and cool breeze. I had music playing from the garage. Life felt good in a way I had forgotten was possible. A car slowed down across the street. A beat-up Honda Civic, primer gray with a dented front bumper. The driver was staring at my house. I glanced over, then looked again. Madison. She was frozen behind the wheel. Jaw literally dropped open. She was staring at the house, the Tesla, the manicured yard. Her face went through a visible sequence of emotions. Shock, confusion, anger. She saw me looking at her. Our eyes met. Then she grabbed her phone, took pictures of the house, and sped away with a screech of tires. I stood there with the hose in my hand, water running over my feet, feeling ice spread through my stomach. This was bad. 3 hours later, my phone started exploding. Blocked calls, one after another. I ignored all of them. Then the emails started coming to my LinkedIn account. My old college email addresses they must have dug up somehow. My mother's subject line read, "We need to talk about your ingratitude." I did not open any of them. I forwarded them all to a folder and tried to forget about it. Monday morning, I woke up to my doorbell ringing at 7:30. I looked at the security camera feed on my phone. My parents were standing at my front door. I went downstairs in my pajamas and spoke through the Ring camera. "Leave. You're not welcome here. Open this door right now," my father demanded. "We need to talk about your responsibilities to this family." "I have no responsibilities to you. Leave, or I'm calling the police." My mother pushed closer to the camera. "Madison told us about your house. How dare you live like this while your sister struggles, while we struggle? We raised you, and this is how you repay us? You told me I didn't deserve help. Remember? Thanksgiving, 2 years ago. So I helped myself. Now, leave. You're selfish and cruel," my mother spat. "We gave you life. We deserve to benefit from your success. This is what family does? This conversation is over," I said. They did not leave. They rang the doorbell repeatedly. They pounded on the door. My father started walking around the house, trying windows. My mother was screaming about ungrateful children and wasted sacrifices. I called the police. 2 officers arrived within 15 minutes. I met them outside with the security footage already queued up on my phone. I explained the situation briefly. Estranged parents who had rejected me, now harassing me for money after finding out about my financial success. The officers were professional and kind. They asked my parents to leave. My father started arguing about property rights and family law. My mother cried and claimed I was mentally ill and needed intervention. The officers were unmoved. "Sir, ma'am, you need to leave this property immediately, or you'll be arrested for trespassing," the female officer said firmly. My mother turned to me one last time. "You'll regret this. We're your parents. You can't just throw us away." "You threw me away first," I said quietly. "I'm just returning the favor." They left. The officers took my statement and the security footage in case I needed to file for a restraining order later. They advised me to document everything. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. It was just the beginning. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of notifications. Madison had posted on Facebook, and it had gone viral within our extended family network. The post was public. It had a photo of her looking sad and exhausted, and several paragraphs of lies. I never thought I'd have to write this, but I need to speak my truth. My brother Raphael has completely abandoned our family. After our parents supported him his entire life, paying for his education, buying him his first car, supporting his business ventures, he's now wealthy and refuses to help any of us. My marriage fell apart, and I'm struggling as a single mother, working 2 jobs just to survive. Our parents are facing retirement with medical bills they can't afford. Raphael lives in a $5 million mansion and drives luxury cars, and he won't even return our calls. He told our mother to her face that he doesn't care if we struggle. I'm heartbroken that money has turned my brother into someone I don't recognize. If you're reading this, Raphael, I hope you remember what family means. Every single sentence was a lie. Our parents never paid for my education. They never bought me a car. They never supported any business venture. Madison was not a single mother because she had no children. She was not working 2 jobs. Our parents' retirement and medical situation was none of my business, and certainly not my responsibility after how they treated me. But the post had 63 comments already, and they were brutal. Aunts, uncles, cousins, I barely knew, family friends, all of them expressing shock and disappointment at my cruelty, calling me names, saying I was a disgrace. My cousin Tara wrote, "This is disgusting. Family takes care of family. You should be ashamed." My uncle Dennis wrote, "Your parents sacrificed everything for you kids, and this is how you repay them? Shameful." People I had not spoken to in a decade were suddenly experts on my character and obligations. My parents shared the post with their own commentary. My mother wrote, "My heart is broken by my son's greed and cruelty. We raised him with love and got this in return." I felt physically ill reading it. They were rewriting history completely, creating a narrative where they were loving parents and I was the monster. And our extended family was believing it because why would they question it? I wanted to respond. I wanted to post the truth with evidence. But my gut told me that engaging would only make it worse. You can't win an argument with people who are willing to lie publicly. I screenshot everything and sent it to my lawyer. Yes, I had a lawyer now. His name was Garrett, and I had retained him after my parents showed up at my house. He specialized in family law and harassment cases. "This is defamation," Garrett said when I met with him that afternoon. "Clear cut. She's making false statements of fact that damage your reputation. We can pursue this. I just want them to leave me alone," I said. "They won't," Garrett said bluntly. "Not on their own. They smell money, and they feel entitled to it. This will escalate. We need to be proactive." He was right. It escalated fast. Someone, almost certainly Madison, filed a false ethics complaint against my old accounting firm. The complaint claimed that I had embezzled client funds during my time there, years ago. It was completely fabricated, easily disproven, but the firm was legally obligated to investigate. My former boss called me, apologetic but concerned. The investigation cleared me within a week, but the rumor spread through professional circles. People I used to work with looked at me differently. Then someone contacted the corporation that had acquired Verichain, claiming I had committed fraud during the acquisition process. More investigations, more lawyers, more stress. Again, everything was disproven, but the legal fees were adding up. I spent $40,000 defending myself against lies. Madison created a fake Instagram account and found Simone. She sent Simone messages claiming I was secretly married, that I was a serial cheater, that I had abandoned my wife and children. She sent doctored photos showing me with a woman I did not recognize, claiming it was my secret family. Simone came to me in tears, showing me the messages. For a horrible moment, I saw doubt in her eyes. "This isn't real," I said desperately. "It's my sister. She's trying to destroy my life because I won't give her money." I showed Simone everything, the Facebook post, the timeline, the evidence of manipulation. Simone believed me, but I could see the situation weighing on her. "Raphael, I love you, but this is insane. Your family is waging war on you. How long can we deal with this?" I did not have an answer. The harassment continued daily. New phone numbers calling at all hours. Emails to my work address. Letters sent to my house. My mother even contacted neighbors, telling them I was mentally ill and dangerous, that if they saw concerning behavior they should call her immediately. Mrs. Patterson, my neighbor, knocked on my door one evening looking concerned. "Your mother came by today. She said some troubling things about your mental health. I wanted to check on you." I had to explain the entire situation to my neighbor. It was humiliating. Then my lawyer called with news that made my blood pressure spike. "Raphael, your parents are suing you." "For what?" "Financial elder abuse and emotional distress. They're claiming you manipulated them into cutting you off so you could avoid supporting them in retirement. They're seeking $500,000 in damages." The lawsuit was completely frivolous. Their lawyer had to know it was frivolous. But it did not matter. I would have to defend myself. I would have to sit for depositions. They would get to dig through my finances during discovery. This was about harassment and information gathering, not justice. The stress became physical. I started getting severe migraines, the kind that made light feel like knives in my brain. I ended up in the emergency room twice in 1 month, convinced each time I was having an aneurysm. Both times it was stress-induced migraines. Simone held my hand in the hospital bed the second time. "I'm not leaving you," she said quietly. "But Raphael, you have to fight back. You can't just keep taking this." She was right. I had been defensive this whole time, just trying to protect myself and wait for them to give up. But they were not going to give up. They were going to keep attacking until they destroyed me or got what they wanted. It was time to go on offense. I met with Garrett in his office, overlooking downtown San Jose. "I want to bury them," I said. "Legally, ethically, completely. What do we do?" Garrett smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We document everything, and we file counterclaims. We go for the throat." We built the case methodically. Every piece of harassment, every false statement, every lie. We had security camera footage of my mother screaming at my door after Thanksgiving. We had recordings of her trespassing at my house. We had screenshots of Madison's defamatory Facebook post and all the comments. We had proof of the false ethics complaints. We had the fake Instagram account messages to Simone. We had the frivolous lawsuit itself as evidence of abuse of process. We also had witnesses. Diane, my ex-girlfriend, agreed to provide a written statement about what she witnessed at Thanksgiving dinner. She had no reason to lie and nothing to gain. Her statement was damning. She described in detail how my parents gave Madison $75,000, how I asked if they might help me, how my mother said I did not deserve help, how my father nodded agreement, how Madison smirked. We had my bank records proving I paid for college entirely through loans. We had documentation that I never received the financial help Madison's Facebook post claimed. We had my student loan statements, showing every payment I made myself. We compiled everything into a binder 3 inches thick. Then we sent discovery requests for their frivolous lawsuit. We demanded documents proving their claims of financial elder abuse. We demanded evidence of manipulation. We demanded bank records showing the money they supposedly gave me. They had nothing. Because it never happened. Depositions started in March. My parents had to sit across from Garrett and answer questions under oath. I watched via video feed. My mother lied repeatedly. She claimed they gave me $20,000 for college. Garrett showed her my loan documents. She claimed they bought me a car at 18. Garrett asked for the title or bill of sale. She claimed they gave me seed money for Verichain. Garrett asked for bank transfers. She had nothing. Every lie was documented, every contradiction noted. My father was worse. He contradicted my mother on basic facts. When they supposedly gave me money for college, how much they supposedly gave. He got angry and defensive, snapping at Garrett's questions, finally yelling that he did not have to justify how he treated his own son. "Actually, sir, you do," Garrett said calmly. "You sued him. You made claims under oath. Now prove them." They could not. Madison's deposition was almost sad. She cried through most of it. When confronted with her Facebook post, she admitted that some details were exaggerated but insisted the spirit was true. When asked to define what she meant by spirit, she could not. When shown evidence that she was not working 2 jobs and had no children, she claimed it was metaphorical. "Metaphorical single motherhood?" Garrett asked. "It's how I feel," Madison said. When confronted with the fake Instagram account, Madison initially denied it. Then, When shown IP address logs linking it to her phone, she admitted it but claimed she was just trying to protect me from Simone, who she believed was a gold digger. When asked what evidence she had that Simone was a gold digger, she said it was a feeling. The depositions were a massacre. Garrett filed our counterclaims. Defamation, harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and abuse of process. We were seeking $1.2 million in damages plus attorney fees. We also filed for restraining orders against all three of them. The hearing for both matters was scheduled for early April. The judge was Honorable Sandra Martinez, known for being no-nonsense. I sat in the courtroom with Garrett, watching my parents and Madison on the other side with their lawyer. Their lawyer, Mr. Chen, looked uncomfortable. He had probably realized his clients had lied to him. Judge Martinez reviewed everything: the frivolous lawsuit, our counterclaims, the evidence. She took her time, flipping through documents, occasionally asking questions. Finally, she looked up. "I have reviewed the plaintiff's complaint," she said, addressing my parents' lawyer. "I have reviewed the evidence provided. I find this lawsuit to be frivolous and potentially vexatious. There is no evidence of financial elder abuse. There is no evidence of manipulation. What there is evidence of is a pattern of harassment and false statements directed at the defendant after he became financially successful." My mother started to speak. Judge Martinez held up her hand. "Ma'am, you will remain silent. The plaintiff's lawsuit is dismissed with prejudice. That means you cannot refile it. Furthermore, I am granting the temporary restraining orders requested by the defendant. All three plaintiffs are ordered to have no contact with Raphael or his property. Violation will result in arrest." My mother broke down, sobbing in the courtroom. "He's destroying our family. Your Honor, he's my son. I have a right to talk to my own son." "You have no such right," Judge Martinez said firmly. "He is an adult. He has made clear he wants no contact. You will respect that or face consequences." Madison ran out of the courtroom crying. My father sat stone-faced, staring at the table. "As for the defendant's counterclaims," Judge Martinez continued, "those will proceed to trial unless the parties reach a settlement." Outside the courtroom, Garrett turned to me. "They'll settle. Their lawyer knows they'll lose badly at trial. Give me a few weeks." He was right. 2 weeks later, their lawyer called with a settlement offer. We negotiated back and forth. Final terms: my parents and Madison had to issue public written apologies on social media, admitting to false statements. They had to delete all defamatory posts. They had to agree to permanent no-contact orders. They had to pay my attorney fees, which totaled $87,000. I did not want money beyond the fees. I just wanted them gone. They agreed to everything. The written apologies appeared on Facebook in May. My mother's post was 3 sentences. I made false statements about my son Raphael. He did not receive financial support from us that I previously claimed. I apologize for any harm caused. Madison's was similar, retracting her claims and apologizing. They were gone from my life. Legally, permanently, completely. But the damage was not entirely done. 2 days after the settlement was finalized, a reporter from a local news website contacted me. Someone, Madison probably, had given the reporter a twisted version of the story. The pitch was an article about Silicon Valley greed and family values, how wealthy tech workers abandoned their struggling families. If that story ran with their false narrative, my reputation could be permanently damaged. The nonprofit board I served on might ask me to resign to avoid controversy. Everything I had built, both financially and personally, could be tainted. I had one chance to control this story. I called the reporter back. Her name was Jessica Lin, and she worked for Bay Area Tech Report, a respected online publication. I asked if she would meet with me before writing anything. She agreed. I brought Garrett to the meeting. I also brought a 3-ring binder of evidence. Jessica showed up expecting a defensive, wealthy tech bro. Instead, she got the full truth. I started from the beginning. The childhood favoritism, the $75,000 wedding check, My mother's exact words: "You don't deserve help." Walking out, being cut off, the breakup, the poverty, the gamble on Verichain, the success, the harassment campaign. When they found out about my money, I showed her everything. Security camera footage of my mother screaming at my door, screenshots of Madison's Facebook lies, the frivolous lawsuit, deposition transcripts, Diane's witness statement, my student loan records proving I paid my own way, bank statements showing I never received the help they claimed. I told her about the fake ethics complaints, the Instagram harassment of Simone, the defamation campaign. Jessica took notes for 2 hours. "This is not the story I was pitched," she said finally. "I know," I said. "Will you write the truth?" She asked if she could interview other sources. I gave her Diane's contact information with Diane's permission. I gave her public court records. I gave her everything. Jessica investigated for 3 weeks. She interviewed Diane, who confirmed everything about Thanksgiving. She talked to neighbors who witnessed my mother's behavior. She reviewed all the court documents, which were public record. The article ran in late May with the headline, "Tech Success Story, Marred by Family Exploitation Attempt. How One Man Overcame Rejection and Faced Harassment for His Wealth." It was fair, factual, and devastating to my parents' narrative. Jessica detailed the favoritism, the rejection, my struggle and risk, the success, and then the harassment campaign when they discovered my wealth. She quoted from court documents. She included Diane's witness statement. She presented my side with evidence, and their side with contradictions and lies. The article went viral in Bay Area tech circles. It was shared thousands of times. The comments section filled with people sharing their own stories of family estrangement, of cutting off toxic parents, of surviving without support. Many people reached out to me directly, thanking me for speaking out. Several said the article helped them understand their own situations and gave them courage to set boundaries. The public response was overwhelmingly supportive. Nobody was questioning my choices or calling me cruel. They were calling my family exploitative and toxic. My parents did not contact me again. The restraining order and public humiliation finally did what nothing else could. They left me alone. Simone stayed with me through everything. 6 months after the settlement, we were hiking in Yosemite, standing at the top of Vernal Falls with the mist rising around us, when I dropped to one knee and asked her to marry me. She said yes before I even finished the question. My nonprofit work expanded. I created a specific scholarship program for students from toxic or unsupportive families. Students who had been told they did not deserve help, who took out massive loans, who worked multiple jobs, who had been rejected or abandoned by parents who should have supported them. I seeded the program with $500,000. The first year, we helped 23 students attend college who otherwise could not have afforded it. Each recipient wrote me a letter. I kept all of them, reading their stories, their gratitude, their hope. I finally understood what it all meant. I had been told I did not deserve help. I had been rejected and demeaned and dismissed. But I helped myself anyway. I took the biggest risk of my life when I had nothing left to lose. I survived poverty and stress and anxiety. I fought back against people who tried to exploit and destroy me. And now I could help others do the same. 2 years after the settlement, I was 34. Simone and I were planning our wedding. Small ceremony, close friends only. No family drama. Just love and support. One morning in July, I found a letter in my mailbox. It had been forwarded through Garrett's office. The return address was my parents' house. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won. It was handwritten by my father. His handwriting was shaky, less precise than I remembered. "Raphael," it began, "I do not expect a response to this letter. I do not deserve one. Your mother has early onset dementia. She is declining quickly. Madison's life continues to spiral. She is on her second divorce and facing financial problems she created herself. I am alone watching the consequences of my failures as a father and husband. I realize now how badly we treated you. You were never the problem. We were. Your mother and I failed you in every way that mattered. You deserved better parents. You deserved love and support and encouragement. Instead, we gave you rejection and contempt. You succeeded not because of us, but despite us. That takes a strength I never had. I am not asking for anything. I am not asking for reconciliation. I am just saying what I should have said 30 years ago. I am sorry. You deserved better. You deserved help. I failed you as a father. I am sorry. I read the letter 3 times. I felt a strange mix of vindication and sadness. My father understood, finally, but understanding came too late to fix anything. The damage was permanent. I showed the letter to Simone. She read it and then looked at me. What will you do? Nothing, I said. Some wounds don't need reconciliation. They just need acknowledgement. I put the letter in a drawer and did not respond. Maybe that makes me cold. Maybe it makes me unforgiving. But I had spent too many years being told I was the problem. I was not going to reopen that door just because my father finally gained insight. I sat on my back patio that evening, watching the sun set over the hills. Simone was next to me, her hand in mine. Our rescue dog, a mutt named Cooper we had adopted 2 months earlier, was sprawled at our feet. I thought about the scared 30-year-old eating ramen in a studio apartment, gambling everything on a dream. I thought about being told I did not deserve help. I thought about building a life anyway, on my own terms. Family is not about blood or obligation. Family is about respect, support, and genuine love. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from people who diminish you, even if they are family, especially if they are family. Success is not revenge, but living well despite those who tried to break you is the sweetest form of justice. I looked at Simone, thought about the students my scholarship would help, thought about the peace I had found. I always deserved help. I just had to learn to help myself first. And in doing so, I built something far greater than anything my parents could have given me. I built myself. Have you ever had to cut ties with toxic family members to protect your own well-being? How did you handle the guilt or judgment from others who didn't understand your situation? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming adversity and finding your own path. Share this video with anyone who might need to hear that it's okay to choose yourself over toxic family expectations. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you find the courage to build the life you deserve, regardless of who supports or opposes you. Take care of yourselves out there.